Axl Rose walked off stage that night, sweat dripping, heart pounding, and angry. Not because of the crowd. Not because of the sound. But because someone backstage mentioned a name he couldn't stand. "Don't ever say that name around me," Axl snapped. "That name? You'll find out soon." But it wasn't the only one. For years, Axl Rose, lead singer of Guns N' Roses, was seen as wild, unpredictable, even dangerous. But behind that chaos was a man who held deep grudges. Some were personal. Some were professional. And a few were just pure hatred. These weren't casual disagreements. These were wars. Silent and loud. On stage and off stage. And now, finally, Axl is speaking. Opening up about the 6 musicians he could never forgive, and why. It starts with a friendship gone wrong. He once admired this guitarist. They met in the 80s. Exchanged compliments. Talked about collaborating. But things took a dark turn when Axl heard the guitarist mocking Guns N' Roses in an interview. He said we were fake, Axl later recalled. That we were only tough when the cameras were on. The man in question? Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. Dave had always been sharp with words. But he didn't know Axl would hold that moment forever. From then on, anytime Dave's name came up, Axl rolled his eyes or changed the topic. At one point, a reunion tour was suggested with several big rock acts. Axl only had one condition: no Mustaine. Or I'm out. That was only the beginning. As the years went on, Axl collected enemies like tattoos, each one a reminder of pain, betrayal, or competition. And there were 5 more that left scars even deeper than Dave. And yes, one of them was once like a brother to Axl. The betrayal of a bandmate. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a rival band. It was one of his own. Axl once said, "The biggest betrayal in my life didn't come from outside. It came from someone on my stage." He was talking about Slash. Back in the late 80s, Axl and Slash were a team. Slash brought the guitar magic, Axl brought the voice, and the fire. Together, they built Guns N' Roses from a dirty LA bar band to the kings of rock. But behind the scenes, something was breaking. Slash wanted to write differently. He wanted to bring in new influences. He wanted more freedom. Axl? He wanted control. He wanted vision. He wanted his band. The final straw? When Slash agreed to sign a contract Axl believed was the beginning of the end for Guns N' Roses. "He didn't even tell me," Axl said. "I found out through a lawyer." From that moment on, Axl hated Slash, not just as a bandmate, but as a person. Years went by. Interviews got colder. Words got sharper. Fans begged for a reunion. But Axl refused, saying, "Not in this lifetime." And yet, something unexpected happened 2 decades later. Slash came back. They played together again. But the truth? Axl never forgot. He once whispered to a friend, "You don't heal from that kind of wound. You just play through it." But the third name on Axl's list wasn't someone he worked with. It was someone who mocked him from afar, and nearly caused a fight on live TV. The man who laughed at Axl on live TV. The third name on Axl Rose's secret hate list shocked even his closest fans. It wasn't someone from the hard rock world. It wasn't a rival from LA. It was a man from Seattle. A man who smiled too much, joked too loud, and once called Axl a joke with a microphone. Kurt Cobain. Yes, the frontman of Nirvana. The feud started in 1992. MTV wanted both Guns N' Roses and Nirvana to play the Video Music Awards. It could have been historic. But backstage, things went south fast. According to witnesses, Axl was in a hallway when Kurt and his wife, Courtney Love, walked past. Courtney made a joke, loudly asking Axl if he wanted to be the godfather of their child. Axl's face went red. He turned to Kurt and snapped, "Tell your B***** to shut up, or I'll take you down." Kurt didn't flinch. He smirked and walked away. Later, he told a reporter, "I thought Axl was a clown." That was it. From that day forward, Axl hated Kurt. Not just for the insult, but for how the media picked sides. Suddenly, Nirvana was the voice of a new generation. And Guns N' Roses? Too flashy. Too late. Too loud. Axl couldn't take it. "He didn't even know me," Axl once said quietly. "He never gave us a chance. Just laughed like we were a joke." Even after Kurt's tragic death in 1994, Axl never softened. At a private dinner in 2006, someone brought up Nirvana. Axl stood up and left the table without a word. Hate doesn't always fade with time. Sometimes, it grows in silence. And just when you think you've heard the worst, the next person on Axl's list is someone everyone thought he respected. A blues rock legend. A man who called Axl the death of real rock. The name? Eric Clapton. When Axl Rose met Eric Clapton, and it went horribly wrong. In 1989, Axl Rose showed up at a private party in London. The kind of place where legends gather. Bowie, Jagger, Page, and yes, Eric Clapton. Axl was nervous. Clapton was one of his idols. The man who made guitars sing. But when Axl tried to say hello, Eric brushed him off. "You're the guy who screams, right?" Axl laughed awkwardly. Clapton didn't smile. That moment stayed with him. Years later, Axl told a friend, "That was the first time I realized not all legends respect each other." But it got worse. In 1990, during an interview, Clapton was asked about modern rock bands. His response? "Some of it's noise. I mean, Guns N' Roses, that's not blues. That's just shouting with guitars." When Axl read that, something snapped. "How dare he?" Axl fumed. "He doesn't even know what I'm trying to say." From then on, Clapton became a ghost Axl couldn't shake. Any mention of his name brought silence, or rage. In 2001, Axl was invited to perform at a tribute concert where Clapton would also play. He declined. "Not sharing a stage with that man," Axl said. And while Clapton may have forgotten the comments he made, Axl never did. But there's still one more name, one that fans still argue about. A man from Axl's early days. A voice that could match his own. A rival who was once his biggest competition, and almost his bandmate. You won't believe who it is. The rival who almost joined Guns N' Roses. Before Guns N' Roses became the biggest band in the world, Axl Rose had a wild idea: bring in another voice, someone powerful, someone dangerous, someone who could share the spotlight with him. That voice? Sebastian Bach of Skid Row. In the late 80s, they were both young, wild, and had the kind of screaming vocals that could shatter glass. Axl and Sebastian partied together, shared stories, even talked about joining forces. "I thought we were gonna be brothers," Sebastian once said. But something went wrong. Very wrong. It started with a rumor that Axl had promised to help Skid Row on their next album, but never showed. Sebastian felt betrayed. He called Axl out in a drunken rant on stage. The video leaked. Axl saw it. And that was it. "He called me a fake," Axl later said. After everything. They stopped speaking. And when fans asked about a collaboration, Axl would change the subject or walk away. Sebastian tried to fix it. He sent letters. Left messages. Publicly said sorry. But Axl never forgave. "Trust is like glass," he said. "Once it's cracked, even if you glue it back, the cracks are still there." Years passed. Both artists slowed down. The world moved on. But the bitterness stayed. In 2010, they were invited to perform at the same festival. People hoped for a reunion moment on stage. Didn't happen. Axl stayed in his dressing room until Sebastian's set ended. He refused to even look at him. That's the kind of grudge Axl holds. But if you think these were just personal fights, think again. Axl's sixth and final grudge was against someone none of us ever expected. A pop legend. A name so big, fans once thought Axl admired him. But behind the scenes, Axl had a very different opinion. And it all started with one backstage moment at a Michael Jackson concert. The king of pop and the king of rage. It was 1991. Michael Jackson was preparing for a world tour. His team reached out to Guns N' Roses, specifically to Axl. They wanted him to appear at one of Michael's shows. A surprise guest. A rock and pop crossover the world would talk about for years. Axl said yes. At first. But during rehearsal, something strange happened. Axl arrived on time. Michael didn't. 3 hours passed. Axl waited. When Michael finally showed up, he didn't apologize. He walked right past Axl like he didn't exist. Axl was stunned. "He looked through me like I was the janitor," he told a friend. "Like I didn't matter." Axl still went on stage. He smiled. He sang. But inside, he was boiling. Later, he learned Michael had been laughing backstage, calling Axl too intense and saying, "That guy scares me." That was the last straw. Axl never said it out loud until years later. But in a rare 2004 interview, he admitted, "Michael was one of the people I respected the least." Fans were shocked. Some were angry. But Axl didn't care. He didn't treat me like a person. Just like another act in his circus. And that was the sixth. 6 names. 6 grudges. 6 stories that shaped the fire behind Axl Rose. But here's the twist. Even with all the hate, Axl never stopped performing. Never stopped writing. Never stopped showing up. Because underneath all the rage is a man who just wanted respect. And maybe, just maybe, revenge was never the point. Maybe survival was.